I'll call this meeting to order here on 9/19/19. Welcome everybody to the State Board of Education's meeting for this month. We got a big and exciting agenda today, so we'll get right to it. Just a couple of reminders to please silence your cell phones, which I always need to remind myself. Okay. And a reminder that the meeting today is being live streamed. I've asked Ms. Rye to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and Mr. Bailey to lead us in our invocation.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the beauty of the day. Lord, we thank you for the blessings of the day. Lord, we ask you that you just bring your blessing upon this meeting today and decisions that are made. And may we ever glorify you in that and ever advance the children of the great state of Mississippi. Lord, again, we ask your protection for all our employees and children throughout this state. Just place a hedge of protection around them and protect them from harm. Lord, again, we thank you for the blessings you've given us. Lord, we come with grateful hearts and ask you to continue to bless us as we go throughout this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Righty. You have the minutes before you. I need adoption of the approval of the minutes from our August 15th board meeting and the minutes of the August 28th special called board meeting.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you also have in front of you the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If so, I'll entertain a motion to do so now. Also, there are items on the consent agenda that if there are any items that members would like to see pulled, I will entertain a motion to do so now. All right. So there's no changes to the agenda. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right. We're moving right along. We're into our recognition ceremony now.
Morning, Dr. Dean, Dr. Wright, and board members. It is now my honor to present to you board recognitions for September. Today we honor 4 exceptional Mississippi teachers and the MDE Employee of the Month. First, we want to recognize the teachers who have been named 2019 state finalists for the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. The program is the nation's highest honor for teachers of mathematics and science, including computer science. Established in 1983 by the White House, the program allows each state to select finalists in mathematics and science. One of the state finalists in each content area will be selected as the presidential awardee for the state, which is the highest recognition that a kindergarten through 12th grade mathematics or science teacher may receive for outstanding teaching in the United States. Awardees serve as models for their colleagues, inspiration to their communities, and leaders in the improvement of mathematics and science education. Our first honoree is Dr. Shani Bourne, a science teacher at Hancock High School in the Hancock County School District. Dr. Bourne, please join Dr. Dean and Dr. Wright at the front of the room. A 27-year veteran teacher, Dr. Bourne said her goal is to provide all students with as many opportunities as possible for growth while fostering an appreciation and excitement for science. Her commitment and dedication to her students and the profession are evident by her career, and we extend our congratulations to her on this recognition. You may now make brief remarks.
I'm just so honored and humbled, and I'm here. My Hawk family, my Hancock Hawk family is here with me, representative, my principal, Carolina, and my family is also here with me in support. And I often say I teach the best kids in the world. I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy my students, and I really enjoy the opportunity and support that I get from them and my partners.
Our next honoree is Paige Cobb, who teaches the foundations of algebra and Algebra 1 at Pass Christian High School in the Pass Christian School District. Ms. Cobb, you may come forward. Ms. Cobb believes that all students should be held to high expectations, feel valued and safe, and be given an equal opportunity to learn. Her passion for educating and challenging students is an important part of Pass Christian's academic excellence, and we congratulate you on this award. You can make remarks. Our third honoree is Kenneth Pigler, who teaches AP Physics and AP Computer Science, among other courses, at Starkville High School in the Starkville-Oktibbeha School District. Mr. Pigler, please come forward. Mr. Pigler said education is not about finding or creating the most rigorous or entertaining tasks. Instead, it's about building engaged students who love to learn, who can take any task and will think, persevere, and exceed any goals set for them. With such a wonderful perspective as a teacher, it's clear why he is among the finalists. Thank you for your commitment to excellence, and congratulations. You can make remarks.
I just want to thank my wife for the support she's given me for coming out today. Thank my superintendent for that great advice. I just want to thank all my former students, principals, administrators, teachers that have given me inspiration over the years to make the lessons I have and have the perspectives that I do.
Our final teacher honoree is LaShundra Young, who teaches biology, chemistry, and AP biology at the Germantown High School. Please come to the front of the room and join Dr. Dean and Dr. Wright. A teacher for 9 years, Ms. Young said, "The art of teaching is to ignite the imagination, inspire creative expression, and instill a love of learning." We couldn't agree more. And thank you, Ms. Young, for continuing to ignite, inspire, and instill a love of learning in our students. Congratulations on your honor.
My administration, I work with the best schools in the world, not just the state. I have the best administration that allows me to actually teach and think outside of the box and do the kooky things that helps my classroom be a student-centered environment. And so I truly appreciate this honor and this opportunity to show the world just what education in Mississippi is all about. Congratulations.
As always, each state-level finalist will have a school-level celebration held in their honor during the school year. This celebration will be led by the Office of Secondary Education, the MDE, and it's funded by the Presidential Award Program. Our final recognition of the day is the September Employee of the Month, Shanette Bolden, Project Officer in the Office of Secondary Education. Shanette, please join Dr. Dean and Dr. Wright at the front of the room. This month's theme is excellent teamwork, and Shanette is an outstanding role model for strong work ethic and diligence. Shanette displays that beautiful smile and great attitude daily. She is the first line of contact in the Secondary Education Office for phone calls and visits, and because she interacts with the community by phone, she is always taking mental notes about their concerns and/or questions and ensuring they feel valued and that their requests are answered. Because Shanette is aware of the scope of work of all the staff members in secondary ed, she was able to streamline materials and supply orders when grade 12 trainings took place the past few summers. She provided the necessary skill set to ensure that content staff had the required training materials, resources, and supplies. And because she has maintained great working relationships with everyone she encounters, it makes the lives of secondary education staff a lot easier, according to her supervisor. Shanette, thank you for the excellent job you do on behalf of the stakeholders we serve, and congratulations on this recognition. You are welcome to make brief remarks. Board recognitions for the month.
All right, congratulations to everybody. It's one of those moments. Please feel free to stay, but I know everybody's busy. If you have to go, it wouldn't be awkward if you left. We understand. At this point, I'll turn over for the report for the state superintendent.
Okay, before I start my report, in your black folder that you have, you'll have PowerPoints that are going to be used today. One for TeachMS and the other for, I believe it's accountability. Accountability results. And we've also given you a copy, what every instructional leader needs to know. This has been such a, do I have them? Yeah, you've got one. We have them. This has been such a widely used and, to be honest with you, highly acclaimed production that we've done here. It is literally a hands-on, anybody you want to contact, who you need to contact, all kinds of information that what each office does, resources that are produced. This is the kind of thing that we've got such feedback from our principals on this. So this is a good thing for you to keep handy if you're looking for somebody around the building. So this past month, I finished up my teachers advisory councils. As you know, this year we have accepted probably a little over 400 teachers into this advisory council. And so I met with them in 3 different parts of the state, and I can't tell you how much I love meeting with them. They are a really fun bunch of people to be with, very vocal, lots of good information exchanged, and so that's always been a pleasure. I was invited by the Annie E. Casey Foundation to run a program called Education Fellows, and they're from all over the United States, and they met here in Jackson recently. And they're going, as fellows from across the nation, they're going to be focusing their work on the Delta and improving the lives of children, particularly boys of color, not only education outcomes, but life outcomes, health outcomes. So they're going to be working with some of our schools in the Delta. Dr. Dean and I also had our legislative budget hearing. That was a great opportunity for us to really brag, quite honestly, on our return on investment. And that's what we started with. You've given us money, and let us tell you what you have as a return on investment. So then we talked about the additional monies that we felt that we needed. We had our first literacy summit ever, and I got hats off to everybody in the department, because this was a department-led, department-planned, department-executed literacy summit. We had over 500 people. It was an all-day Friday, all-day Saturday event. We had national speakers that were just outstanding, and a local speaker, Maggie Wade, came in on the day for parents and community. And I just want to say, we probably had 15 to 20 people that literally came together on a regular basis and pulled this off. And we honored Gray Tollison. As you know, he's stepping down as our ed chair, and he has just been such a great partner and instrumental in a lot of the reform work that we've done. So it was a good chance to honor him. And Ralph Smith from the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading flew in to specifically honor him as a champion where literacy is concerned. So it was really, really good. And just finished with my Superintendent's Advisory Committee, first one of the year. That's always very helpful. We added some new faces this year to also make sure that we're getting lots of different perspectives, and everybody was in attendance, and so lots of time to really problem solve around issues that are with them in common. And then I was on the Gallows Show this week. We kind of surprised us. We had made this through his appointment person, and I guess the appointment person hadn't told him we were coming. So he goes, well, I really wasn't expecting you today. And so we said, well, we can come back. No. He said, come on in, sit down. So we talked for 45 minutes. And it's always a good time for us because it was a great time to shine the light on our assessment results, a great time to shine the light on our accountability results. And I must say, the next day, as I'm coming in and listening to his show, the lead story on their news segment was about the education results that are happening in Mississippi. So I thought that was really kind that he finished that up. I also want to recognize both Sandra Robertson and Wendy Clemens, so if you please stand. Both of these ladies have been invited to serve on SREB's Making Schools Work Advisory Council. So as you know, we are one of 16 states in SREB, and they reached out to us. So that just speaks volumes about these two women and the work that they do. So to both Sanja and to Wendy, congratulations, and we're very, very proud to have you serving on such a fine group. So congratulations to you. I also want to recognize Deborah Donovan. So Deborah, would you please stand? So Deborah, she's over here, and she joined MDE about 10 years ago. She was originally in the special ed department at that time, but she's now in OTSS. And you talk about a critical role. Deborah is the key in that department where our accountability system is concerned. So she's the one that runs the model. She's the one that checks for errors. She's the one that does all the QA. Our Mississippi Succeeds report card, that's under Deborah's watch, and our also all of our federal reporting goes through Deborah. But she has just been accepted, and this is why we're so very proud of her, as a fellow in the 11th cohort of the Harvard University Strategic Data Project. So that is quite the honor, and we are just so pleased that she was selected. It's quite an application process, shall we say. But she'll be bringing back, obviously, what she learns in this cohort for us. In fact, she is going to, her capstone project, if I'm quoting this right, is helping MDE improve its efficiencies and translate complex ideas into replicable statistical code, which will allow the state to learn more about its achievement gaps and successes and align its resources to improve student success. And the other thing that you may not know about Deborah, she's very passionate about increasing STEM opportunities for young girls, and she works with the Girl Scouts to do just that, which I think is very special. And she is joined today by her husband, Joseph, and Caroline, who is a third grader attending public school in Rankin County. So if you would like to recognize your husband and your daughter, if you please stand. There you go. And how about a round of applause for Deborah? I didn't have any remarks that you wanted to make, Deborah? Thanks.
Congratulations.
Last recognition, let's see if we can make this work. I think this is moving okay. Is our own Shelby Dean. So, surprised you, didn't I? Absolutely. So there's Shelby. Yes, she does. Now you know why she's always so thin. She won first place at the Clinton Cross Country Short Course for the 6th year in a row. Shelby is a leader on Clinton's cross country team and has been a part of the team since she was in 7th grade, and she's now a senior. Shelby has come in first place in this 2-mile cross country meet. Wait for it. Every year since 7th grade, she has come in first place. So nobody will ever be able to beat her record, and the best they can possibly do is tie it. So hats off to Shelby. last but not least, I want to introduce Corey Murphy and Corey Jones, if you'd come up for just a quick minute. We are in the process of launching a teacher recruitment plan. And Corey Murphy, this is in the Office of Teaching and Leading, and Corey Jones is new to us. She's in our communications department. And they have been working together to put this presentation together for you so that you will know how hard we are working to try to increase the number of teachers that we have across the state. And so I'm going to turn this over now to the Corey and Corey show. How about that?
I like it.
That wasn't even planned that way, but there you go.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll start and I'll hand it off to Corey, who has more exciting and emotional things to share with you. So prepare by getting your handkerchiefs and your tissues, and that I've been emotional every time I've seen the video that's been produced. And so we'll go ahead and dive right in. And so, as you know, our vision and mission, they are the foundation and or provides foundation and direction for all of the work of the State Board of Education and the MDE, and ultimately local district school leaders and teachers across our state. Goal 4 specifically is the goal that drives all of the work that happens in the Office of Teaching and Leading, and that's every school has effective teachers and leaders. As most of you may recall, in August of 2018, my colleagues and I presented to those that were on the board at that time potential strategies for addressing Mississippi's teacher shortage. We shared the department's desire to create a partnership with education stakeholders to develop a talent pool of diverse, culturally responsive, and highly effective educators through innovative pathways that elevate the profession and expand educator growth. With that desire in mind, the Office of Teaching and Leading, we've executed efforts that fall into one of the 4 categories that you see there on the screen, in the area of recruitment, innovative preparation, diverse and learner-ready teachers, and through Grow Your Own strategies. Each of these strategies work in concert to expand the educator pipeline in Mississippi. While we've launched various initiatives by way of the 4 strategies illustrated there, we'll only focus on the recruitment strategy today. And so, the next slide. Following the August 2018 meeting, Drs. Wright and Vanderford charged our team to work closely with Dr. Gavin and her team in search of potential funding sources for different strands of the strategies that we proposed. And in particular, we were charged with onboarding 4 recruiters or teacher recruiters to serve each of the 4 Mississippi congressional districts with the charge of facilitating the process of attracting, recruiting, and retaining specific target groups of prospective teacher candidates. And those particular target groups include high school students, and we seek to engage them through the expansion of our Teacher Academy programs in our districts across the state and other initiatives related to that. College students are another target group. We seek to engage them, those individuals who are undecided or undeclared majors, as we attend college fairs and partner with our educator preparation program providers and their recruitment staff and faculty. And transitioning professionals are another target group, which include military personnel transitioning from service, career changers, paraprofessionals, teacher assistants, and male educators of color. And so the aim is not simply to recruit prospective teachers to fill vacancies. Rather, we desire to recruit prospective candidates who understand the culture and context and have a vested interest in serving the children in the local districts in which they'll serve. While either of the recruiters that we have begun onboarding could serve across any of our 4 congressional districts, we're being intentional in requiring each of the 4 recruiters to focus on and serve as liaison and point of contact for an assigned congressional district and work closely with those school districts within that congressional districts, the institutions of higher education in that district, and appropriate educational stakeholders there. And so an example of responsibilities, but there includes and not limited to those individuals facilitating the development of partnerships between local school districts, institutions of higher education, and their educator preparation program and recruitment faculty and staff, and appropriate education stakeholders within the assigned congressional districts for the purpose of co-constructing talent recruitment and talent management and support plans that are based on the unique needs of that particular region of the state. So in essence, we desire to differentiate our approach to meeting the needs of the various regions of the state, just as we differentiate instruction for our individual students in our classroom. And so we've begun onboarding our recruiters and identifying appropriate placement for each of them. They've been visiting local school districts, universities, and communities, and beginning to build partnerships with organizations and program administrators such as the WIN Job Center, Teacher Academy program directors, school districts, the Veteran Affairs Board, and community colleges and universities. Some examples of some specific recent activities involved in the area, the target area of high school students. We've been conducting learning visits to each of the local districts with an active Teacher Academy program. And on August 29th, we convened and met with over 30 Teacher Academy program teachers for the purpose of identifying what's working with the current program and what's in need of improvement. In the target area of the college students, we have been visiting colleges and universities across the state, meeting with appropriate faculty and staff, and attending college and career fairs. In the area of transitioning professionals, we have developed a partnership with the Jackson Area WIN Job Center, where they've given us permission and provided us with the space to set up the nice little setup that you see out there to try and recruit those that are seeking employment through their agency. We have started talks with the Veteran Affairs Board to do the same thing in hopes to partner with them as well. And we've also participated in the governor's recent workforce development fair. Another recent meeting we had was with the Mississippi Department of Employment Security, which was set up for us through Mr. Craman's team, where we're looking to partner with them to utilize a tool that they have for proactive recruitment that can be used by districts to post their positions. Prospective educators and practicing educators can create profiles, and it brings about that equity, I guess, gap we have with certain districts having access to certain individuals. This will give them an opportunity to access all districts on the candidate's behalf, but also have districts that would normally have access to candidates who are fully certified or seeking to teach. They would have access to them as well. And so, in essence, we are building a plane as it takes off or takes flight, in that we are unable to identify another state that is taking this approach to addressing the shortage that we all face. We know that this is a national issue. We are working diligently to build a multi-year, multi-pronged statewide recruitment strategy. Dr. Wright recently solicited and secured a partnership with between the MDE and the Southern Region Education Board, SREB, who will engage in a year-long partnership with us for the purpose of facilitating strategy sessions with a group of diverse Mississippi education stakeholders, with the goal of yielding a plan of action uniquely designed to aid us in addressing the shortage that we face. At this time, I'd like to introduce our recruiters. Okay. I think they're on the road. And
Out
so,
recruiting.
yeah. So I'll just mention their names. We have Vanessa Wilbert. She actually leads that group, serves as assistant director there. And Lashara Mosley, John Holmes, Tracy Miller, Bristol Ransom, and we have one individual who is actually employed by the Mississippi Association of Educators. He's employed by them, but paid to support our work of recruiting male educators of color, and his name is K.P. May. And so Mr. May, again, is employed by MAE, but they wanted to partner with us to show us they want to really support our work and our effort in recruiting male educators of color. So he's housed there, but works very, very closely and carries out the vision for this agency in this regard. And so my final statement, I say we have a number of initiatives underway in the Office of Teaching and Leading, but what's the use in having initiatives that no one knows about? And so while we were seeking funding for onboarding recruiters, we needed a communication specialist. So we were charged with finding a communication specialist. And so we were blessed to be able to find and woo her over to come and serve here, and that's Mrs. Corey Jones. And so Mrs. Jones is responsible for the development of a comprehensive communication plan that will be used for all initiatives, present and future. She is also responsible for the development of media strategies, print, videography, social media, and we have plans to share with you momentarily the first of many powerful videos we know she'll produce in the future among other related advertisements that are geared toward elevating Mississippi's education profession. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Jones.
Thank you so much, Dr. Murphy. Thank you, Dr. Wright and Dr. Dean and members of the board. I just have to say, first of all, it's such an honor to be sitting here at this seat, and I'm so excited to be sharing this campaign with you today. So I wanted to kind of tell you where it came from. Last April, we began having focus groups with high school students, college students, members of the Mississippi Teacher Council, and even got to meet with the Superintendent's Council this past week. And so we've been gathering knowledge of how it was going to best, how we could best present this campaign to Mississippi. And so I wanted to talk about that. Some of the questions that we asked them were, why become a teacher? What made you want to teach? And the top answers, hands down, were that they wanted to empower and inspire. And those words are big for a reason, and you'll know why in just a minute. But they said we want to advocate, encourage, we love children, we want to use our passion. Every one of them, they all came from different backgrounds, just a diverse group of people. But every one of them had the same feeling of, I'm doing this because it's a calling. It's a passion. It's not just a job. It's what I was meant to do, and I can't imagine doing anything else, even on the tough days. And that's what keeps me going. And so those were the top answers. We also said, what are some concerns about becoming a teacher? And as you can see, these were some of the top answers. No surprises here. Low pay, lack of pay raises, educator parents telling us not to. That was kind of surprising. Negative statements from current educators. And you can see several of their answers that they gave. And of course, we told them it was a safe place. You can give us the truth. We want to know these things because it's helping us develop this campaign and how to best deliver the messaging. We said, why do you want to teach in Mississippi? The number one answer was, I love my state, and we love to hear that because we love our state too. A lot of them said the scholarship made me think about education and made me stay in the state, and they were referring to the METP scholarship. A lot of them wanted to teach in their district where they grew up. They wanted to take their knowledge and go back and help. I thought this was a great statement. You can't fix something if you just abandon the problem. So those are some of those answers. I loved asking them this: what would attract more people to education? What do you think would attract more people to education? And their number one answer across the board was current educators speaking positively about their profession. And then also they said we need to break stereotypes. You know, being a teacher is not what a lot of people think being a teacher is. And they have this picture in their mind of maybe something they've seen on TV or cartoons or whatever growing up. And they said, that's not a teacher anymore. I want to be able to be myself and teach. I want to see people like me in the classroom. That was another great answer that we heard. And we loved hearing that. They said we would like to have mentors that helped us through. We would like to have options for scholarships, more teacher academies, and these were all just great answers, as you can see. And then this was, what's the best way for you to receive messaging about this campaign? And every one of them said, I thought it was going to be social media, right? Internet, but they all said, no, we want one-on-one communication. They brought up the college and career fairs. Most high school students and even college students have those on their campuses. And they said, we have people that come from all different professions, all different companies, all different colleges, and they talk to us. They have this booth with great swag, and if you don't know what swag is, you've got a swag bag in front of you today, and that's, it's for you. And so it's all the stuff that has our branded messaging on it. that hopefully they can find useful. And so they said, we want someone in front of us that's credible, that we can talk to, ask questions to, that can guide us through the process as we try to become a teacher. They mentioned inspirational videos. They said, we want to see, every teacher has a story. They have their reason why, their moment that they knew, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And they said, we need to see that. We want to feel it. This is a generation of having internet access everywhere they are, right? And they can watch videos all the time if they want to, and they probably do. And so they said, we need to see this. We need to see actual videos of real teachers, of real students in Mississippi making a difference in their community. And so that information was just invaluable to us as we began this. And so we wanted to define our audience, and we see this as a three-pronged approach. Number one, being current students, both high school and college. We want to talk to them. We want to recruit them into the profession, elevate the profession. But as my colleague pointed out when we first began, Patrice said, we need to talk to these high school students and these college students, but in some cases that you could look at anywhere from 4 to 8 years before they're actually in the classroom teaching. While it's important to talk to them, we said we've got to find another way to actually get help with the teacher shortage now. And so we started looking at transitioning professionals. Many of us had a first job that we didn't necessarily love. And so there are a lot of people out there that are in a job that they're unsatisfied in, or maybe they have not found a job and they're job searching. And so we thought, what a great way to find people that need a job and need a career that's meaningful and powerful and that they can do something important. So that is that. And then the third, we're current educators, because if you remember, they talked about that they wanted to have positive stories. So while we started building this brand, I really believe that good marketing is an exercise in memorization. And so when creating a brand, you want to create a buzz. And in doing so, that means we want to create clear and compelling messages that spread like wildfire. We don't just want people to hear about it, but we want them to remember it and repeat it. So we want our brand for this teacher recruitment campaign to be a household name. And I know that I'm thinking big, but I'm that kind of girl, right? And so I want that. I want people to know this campaign, to know the name. When they see the brand, they think of it, and they know where to go to get information. And of course, we want it to appeal to our targeted audience. And if you remember, we have three: the college and high school students, the transitioning professionals, and current educators. So it's a big ask, but I believe we can do it. So this is our brand. This is what we came up with, and it's Teach MS for Teach Mississippi. And then there are those two important words: empower and inspire generations of change. And we thought that was so important as our tagline, because as we said, all of our focus group is just like everybody in Mississippi. They come from different backgrounds. They have different experiences. Some people want to be teachers because they had a great teacher. Some people want to be teachers because they want to be the teacher they never had. And so they're all different backgrounds, but they all have the same reason why, and that was to empower and inspire. So instead of focusing on the other things, we wanted to focus on the way they can empower and inspire and make a difference in our great state. So with our current students, we talked to them and we said, this is what they wanted. They want recruitment one-on-one at their schools, college and career fairs, the great looking booth. Hopefully you saw that out when you came up the elevator. Feel free to look at it when you go back through, with free swag. And then also they mentioned the military recruitment style, because at their colleges and their high schools, they have military recruiters that come to their schools. They mentioned that they know us by name. They come and see me. They come and visit us they'll be set up during the lunch in the cafeteria. And they said, we know that if we have questions, if we need help filling out a form or applying for something, we know who to go to. We know exactly the source and we trust them. And I thought, wow, that is powerful. We need that, right? They also mentioned having those personal success stories and videos from current educators. And then they did want to see that social media campaign. I knew that would come in at some point. And so they also talked about that they would like more information about what's in it for me. And, honestly, that's what everybody is looking for. If we're being honest, everybody wants to know, what is in it for me? And that's given information about their summer break, holidays off, time to live life, go on an adventure and explore, and as younger people say, living my best life. And that's important to them, and that's fine, it should be. And so they want to get more information about that. see. This is the messaging that we developed specifically for current students. And so I believe that anytime, like Dr. Murphy mentioned the recruiters, and so when they go to a school and they have the booth set up, they'll have a script of information that they'll be saying, and it's very specific messaging of how we can appeal to that targeted audience. And so we start out with saying, many students desire to make a real difference in this world, but don't know where to start. At the Mississippi Department of Education, we help you teach Mississippi so you can empower and inspire generations of change, one student, one classroom, one school at a time. And then there's our hashtag TeachMS. And so that's the kind of message that we want them to know. We start off with a statement that they can find, they can relate to, which is how they want to make a difference, but they don't know where to start. And then we come in and show them how we can help them become the hero in their own story. We're not trying to be the hero. We're trying to just help them get to that hero position in their own life to where they can do what they were meant to do. And then here's some examples of what our social media graphics will be like when they're being pushed out, specifically on Instagram for younger audiences. And so we just want to let them know that you can be yourself and be a teacher in the classroom. You can use your creativity, your voice, your experience. There are many other things we can put in: passion, power, knowledge, leadership, skills, calling. We want them to know that they can be themselves, they can look like who they are, and they can be in the classroom and reach a generation. And so we have our Instagram, we have Facebook, and we have YouTube. We developed a website, teachms.org. It's still part of NDU's website, but we wanted it to have its own landing page so that we could give out that very simple website, teachms.org. It's easy to remember. Most people can remember that. And so while it is still within our site, we advertise it as a standalone. But it is connected, and so when you go there, I'll show that to you in just a minute. You'll find information for that. This is what a vendor table will look like set up at a college and career fair or at a community fair. And so you saw it out there, but here's some examples, and this is that free swag they love: the pop sockets, t-shirts, bracelets, bags, all the fun stuff, cups that change colors when it gets cold. It's just really fun. And they're really fun, hot items. Also, we have this, which is really fun. Dr. Wright doesn't know that I'm pulling these up, but these are really fun pictures. We recently got to this is called a hop-up or a step and repeat. You've probably seen them if you've gone to a red carpet event where you take pictures in front of your brand. So we have these for our recruiters to take on the road as well. And I had the privilege to go with Dr. Wright to the teacher council meetings a couple of weeks ago, and we took the setup, and the teachers absolutely loved our hop-up. We didn't tell them to pose. They would grab their bags or their t-shirt, they'd grab Dr. Wright, and they wanted to take pictures. And then I didn't take these. They posted them themselves, they hashtagged them, and then I grabbed them to be able to reshare them. And so it's exciting, and it's fun, and it just makes you feel special. You can stand in front of that hop-up, and you just feel like you're somewhere. So it's out there today. You're welcome to stand in front of it if you want to. And so that's examples of what it will look like when they go. And then so transitioning professionals, it's very similar. Social media campaign. This is where it's a little different. We would like to put ads on Indeed and other job sites where they are actually, if they're looking for a job, they can easily find, hey, there are teacher positions available. Let me look into this profession, how I can make a difference. We'd also like to do some feature stories. I think it would be really fun to do 20 reasons to become a teacher in 2020 and have maybe 20 teachers, 20 Mississippi teachers that give us a statement and let us take a picture of them in the classroom and say, this is what you can have. More of the what's in it for me information in case they don't know that. Career fairs again. And then this is the messaging we've developed for transitioning professionals. Many people struggle with finding a job or are unfulfilled in their current job. At the Mississippi Department of Education, we help you teach Mississippi so you can have a career you love, empowering and inspiring generations of change, one student, one classroom, one school at a time. And it's very specific here and very on purpose, where in the beginning we label it a job, and then at the end, after you teach Mississippi, it labels it a career that you love. And so this is very intentional with a lot of thought going into it of how it can attract the right candidates for this. Current educators, We want to promote positive success stories, inspirational videos, testimonies, and pictures, encouraging and this is a teacher that told me this at one of the council meetings. She said, we need to hear more of the I get to do this instead of I have to do this. And that came from the mouth of a teacher. She said, that's what we need to promote and talk about, that this is something I get to do. Also, it's a social media campaign, and the teachers are loving it. They're already tagging me and sending me pictures all the time, so that's fun. It's spreading like wildfire with them. The hashtag TeachMS. And then more recognition. I know that we all here agree that our teachers are just incredible. They're the heroes. They're the real heroes in the story. And I think we do a great job of recognizing them, but I also think we can always do better. And so we want to give more recognition through this campaign. And then this is the statement for them. Many schools are struggling with teacher shortages, leaving teachers feeling overwhelmed. At the Mississippi Department of Education, we help share your Teach Mississippi success stories with prospective teachers so your story can empower and inspire generations of change, one student, one classroom, one school at a time. And so again, that's the messaging that you would hear on any promotions we have. If you're at a career fair and you come up to a recruiter, that's the script that they'll be talking from. Any promotional videos that we go out, that's the messaging that's going to be there. And then I want to, before we show the video, I want to just briefly take you to the website. It is up and running and doing great. So this is the live site where you can see it. When somebody comes to our website, teachms.org, as you can see, very intentional to have this messaging all the way through. I want people to know it so by heart. And so when you go to become a teacher, it gives you three options here. Again, you've got that messaging, and then it says no matter where you are in your journey, get started on your career today. So they can pick if I'm a high school student, I'm a college student, or I'm a transitioning professional. And I'll just show you one for sake of time. But here we've got that messaging again that appeals to them. And this is the really fun part. We have gotten feedback from young people, both high school and college students, that it's confusing. There are a lot of steps to becoming a teacher. I get overwhelmed when I look at the website and I just don't know what to do. And I'm not really sure who can help me. And so we said on our website, we're going to try to do a step-by-step bird's eye view of how to become a teacher that can help them. And so these recruiters that Dr. Murphy made mention of, right here, step one is contact our recruiter. And when they click this, they can email their recruiter and give them their information and where they are in their journey so that their recruiter can help them from that point on and kind of be that person they can go to for help on any kind of forms or anything like that. And then we go down, there's just 7 steps too, is our high school diploma. We've worked with internally with all the different departments trying to make sure we have the best up-to-date information on here, things that can help them, ACT information, coursework, Teacher Academy, Educators Rising, stuff that can help them in their journey to become a teacher. Next, we have earn a 4-year education degree. Again, it gives information here that's hopefully helpful, different grants, scholarships, all of our ed prep programs listed over there with links straight to their education pages, which hopefully is helpful. Next is complete the praxis exam, and it links to information there, as well as studying information. Apply for a license. It kind of just lets them know. We found out that some high school students don't know that they have to have a license, so that gives them that information. 6, become a teacher. We wanted to show them the different types of teachers and kind of talk about some that are different teachers, different areas of how they can become a teacher. And then 7, share your story, because we always want to hear from them so that we can use their information to reach others. And then I wanted to show you on the teacher side of it, we have current educator section. And our teachers have been using this. I'm so excited. And they come here. And by the way, all the pictures you see on the website, this is not stock photography. These are actual Mississippi teachers that have been so gracious and allowed us to use their pictures of them in the classroom. So when they come here, they can click share your story. That sends an email straight to me. And they can type out their story. And then I can then take them and hopefully they can be featured right here on our teacher story section. It's like a blog, but we call it Teacher Stories. And this is where we highlight different teachers that have sent in those stories. Some are videos, some are typed out stories. These teachers are amazing writers. And so I encourage you, when you have a moment, go and read them. It's very inspirational and very powerful. And so anyway, that's how the teachers can get involved, and we can take those stories. We actually feature these on our social media page, on our Facebook, on our Instagram, and on YouTube. And then right before we want to watch the video, I want to tell you one other thing. When we were at the teacher council meeting, I believe in Hattiesburg, one of the teachers that is actually featured on here, it was her written story that she had sent in. I had never met her in person, and she came up to me, and I didn't know who she was, and she came and she hugged me, and I was like, oh, I like hugs too, and I hugged, and she said, I'm a teacher that's on your teacher story section. She said, we've never met, but I sent my story to you, and you published it there and on social media. And she said, I just have to tell you, thank you. I was like, oh, no, thank you. It's done great things. And she went on to say, I didn't do this for recognition. I didn't do this for me. I did it to help you and to help Mississippi, And she said, but I just have to tell you, the encouragement that it's brought to me from my colleagues, from my administration, from the parents of my students, and even my students. She's like, they're going to the website and reading this. She said, it's just done amazing things for me. She just brought encouragement and inspiration to me. And so she said, thank you. And Dr. Wright and I talked about that and said, that's exactly what this is about. It's about encouraging one another, because we know the days get very long sometimes. And encouragement, that's what we're here for at the end of the day, right? And so I hope that that's what this is going to continue to do and be, with all of us supporting it. And so I want to show you, this is Meet Miss Rankins. This is our first video that we did. We actually launched with this at the Elevate conference this summer, and we had a great success with it. This video has already had, I think, around 4,000 views. It's really grown. And so I think about 3,000 of those might be mine. And I think I've cried 2,999 times that I've seen it. So I'm excited for you to see it today, and I hope that you enjoy it.
She's nice. She cares for people. She's good with she's good with math, and she's good with everything. She's kind. She's amazing, and she's lovable. She cares about others, and she's really sweet. Funny, nice, confident, helpful, and sweet.
Why do you think she's confident?
Because she'll never let anyone down. I'm gonna be honest, me and Ethan. I think I'm one of our favorites. I guess me. She's nice to everyone, but I think she's nicer to me. She'll say, "This day will be fun, and we're gonna do lots of fun stuff." She has fun days for us. I think she just celebrates them because we work so hard. Well, when I'm in cute outfits, she kind of freaks out. She gives us candy after we read books. She'll tell us to raise the roof. You go like that. Everybody, it's time to go out for recess. Come on. She likes to have a lot of dance parties. She kind of dances kind of funny, and I really like when she does dance because that always makes me happy. She's the only teacher that dances in the hallway. She actually told me how to read in this grade. 540 books. 2-digit number. Because she's perfect. Perfect first grade teacher. Because she's just right.
Hello everyone, Melanie Rankins, first grade teacher at Mansell Elementary. When I pull into the parking lot each morning, I usually have a song, because like I said, I love music. So it's something to get me kind of hyped up and ready for the day. So they know, Miss Rankins can get loud sometimes, and Miss Rankins likes to sing, and Miss Rankins likes to do this, Miss Rankins is silly, so you have to be yourself. Why not? Why put on a show? Sometimes we may dance out a spelling word or something, or we may, those new dances that they do, we may floss out. And, I do love to dance and I love music. So I love to bring music and dance and manipulatives, things like that to make it fun. Teachers all the time are worrying about, did my child master this? Did this child get this? And even though sometimes things aren't going the way that they want it to go, whether it's in the classroom or we're doing a different learning activity or whatever it is, I hope that they always know that I love them, and I hope that's the impact that they can always feel. Well, Miss Rankins loves me no matter what.
Grateful. Nice and kind teacher. Because she'll never let them down. She kind of freaks out. Everybody, it's time to go out for recess. Come on. She's the only teacher that dances in the hallway.
Other people dance. Other people dance. Oh, ain't it? Oh.
Because she's just right.
Y'all, I can't do a video now because I'm what they said. I'm loving, I'm great, I'm kind, amazing, all those kind of words. It just lets me know that I'm doing my job.
We are blessed today because these superstars that you saw in this video are with us. So I want to thank them for their participation, but most importantly, I want you to stand when I call your name so that people will know who you are. first, let's start with our leading lady. So, Miss Melanie Rankins, I just want to thank you so much for being brave enough to let us come into your world and videotape you. And I hope it was as wonderful experience for you as it has been for us. And just to say thank you for everything that you do each and every day for children. Absolutely. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Emily Mulholland, who is the principal of Mansdale Elementary. I know you there. Thank you so much, and thank you for helping us. Last but not least are the stars of the show. They are now second graders at Mansdale. Owen Ellington. There you go. Harvey, Emily. Elizabeth Hobbs. Jackson Lewis. And certainly last but not least is Jack Jones. And if you, Corey's son, in case you haven't figured that one out. But I just got to say, and I hope the board really comes away with the same feeling about this whole project. I think this teacher recruitment thing is just going to be amazing. And we have definitely hired the right person to be leading this work, because Corey came in and just hit the ground running. She has that smile on her face every single day. And the teachers just fell in love with her. But it's a great way to celebrate teachers, and I think that's the most important message that we take away. You know, teachers like Ms. Rankins deserve such honor. I mean, they bring life to children in ways that you probably didn't even think that you were making a difference. And I just want to say thank you, and thanks to Corey and your team for all the work that you're doing. So, and I know this has been a little bit longer than normal, but I felt it was important you guys knew exactly what we're all about. So.
Comments from the board? Dr. Kelly.
Y'all are going to show videos like that with some Kleenex out.
You should have. I'm
That
sorry.
was absolutely awesome. It was awesome. It's exciting. And Corey, I just need a little bit more enthusiasm. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
I thought it was really interesting in how the high school students honed in so quickly on those things that are very important. And the most important thing to me that came out of this, and it's sort of been a soapbox I've been on lately, and I know we have a lot of superintendents who listen live stream and principals, but teachers telling their positive stories is the most critical thing. And I know I've been in that classroom, Brittany's in the classroom every day. You tend to get bogged down sometimes in, you know, all the stuff you're having to do. But there's so many wonderful stories and so many teachers out there that are doing so many good things that they need to share their own story and be their own cheerleader. It's a good job.
I was just going to ask who's cutting onions up in here. But on a serious note, I know that Dr. Murphy, you and your team have been working to try and develop legislation that will help address some of the pervasive shortages that have gotten worse. We don't know yet why, but it's a statistical fact. I was on a university campus, I guess 2 weeks ago, talking to a dean of the School of Ed, and he said his data is showing 30% decline in enrollment into the Schools of Ed program, not to mention graduation and retention, and, you know, so just the recruitment, you know, front end aspect of it. I think there's issues that I would challenge you and your team to begin addressing right now for the 2020 regular session, because there'll be a new governor, there'll be a new lieutenant governor for sure, and I think that's an opportunity to address maybe might be some of the political hurdles that are now codified that we should, you know, roll our sleeves back on. And I know this is Dr. Elam's issue, but I think, you know, this is a timing opportunity for us to really address this. So as we move forward, the work that you're doing is phenomenal. But there's a policy solution too. Thank you.
Thanks
Y'all for being here.
And all the parents that brought your little ones. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. That concludes my report.
Alrighty. Yeah. Definitely well worth the time. I just have a quick report. As Dr. Wright mentioned, we attended the Legislative Budget Committee. And again, one of the points I would like to make, she sort of made, when we talk about our requests for appropriations, we've been for the last couple of years talking about it as a return on investment. And I just can't affirm how important that is when we're in that room with all the members of that particular committee, how much that resonates. So board members come and go, and unfortunately state superintendents sometimes come and go. But that's a message that I think needs to persist, long after we all are moving on. So I just would, again, underscore that presentation, because the attitude was quite different. I've been watching this for 15 years, really close, and it's gotten better. I know it's hard to appreciate that, but in the not too distant past, these sort of meetings were very confrontational, very contentious, and I think the attitude and the way that we present that, should be encouraged and continue. The second meeting I attended, I had the opportunity to go and represent the state at the request of the College Board at an Education Commission on the State's meeting in Denver to talk about what they frame as the two codes, which is civics education and computer science education. And we were there yet again to talk about how we're doing it right and for other states to learn. I want to say thank you to Nathan Oakley. Dr. Oakley helped me with my homework before I got there. There were probably a room about this size. We were only there for 24 hours, but again, particularly computer science, civics is there too, but computer science is clearly, where schools around the country and districts and states are forward leaning, and they wanted us to be there to talk about, what we were doing and how we were doing things right. So that was truly an honor. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the subcommittee reports. Dr. Kelly, Accountability Subcommittee.
The Accountability Subcommittee did meet this morning. We had a good discussion around one of the items that will be coming before the board today, which shows the great results that we are seeing in accountability and the ratings of our schools. So I think all of you will be very pleased with that. The other item we had some discussion on was the APA process as that relates to the graduation requirement around U.S. history. It came up in our meeting this morning. That was an excellent opinion article written that showed up in the Clarion Ledger yesterday from someone who talked about how this can be resolved without actually doing away with U.S. history. So if you've not had an opportunity to read it, I would encourage you to go back and read yesterday's paper. Thank you.
Dr. Elam, Educator Quality.
Yes, we did meet, and we had an hour and a half discussion. We were most inspired, of course, by this film that we just saw. It was great. But in addressing not so much changing the laws, we're not quite that far yet, but in the starting with today and leading into October meeting, Dr. Murphy will be coming forward with several recommendations of change in the state board's policy on ways that we need to look at. I'll put it this way. It appears we need to look at our policies of the board as far as teacher recruitment and certification, that we need to move on with the times. That's an easy way to say it. It's not totally correct. But anyway, we'll be moving forward. We meaning Dr. Murphy and his team with Mrs. Rise and my input, moving forward, looking at those policies and bringing them before the board to see if we can make some adjustments that will help us address the teacher shortage issue.
Great. I'm really glad to hear that. Are you done? Okay. I want to say a comment because I've said this a lot lately, and I'm sure we all get phone calls, and people who are interested and typically have issues or challenges turn to us, and they want to see some kind of change. And I always say there's three ways to affect public policy change, and I'm saying this because I think we've got more people watching today that are out there in the hinterlands than usual. So I want this message to be delivered. There's federal law. I mean, we're all sworn to uphold the federal law, and that's what we do. That's hard to change. I think the act's up for reauthorization coming up. Go get in front of congressional committees and try and get some change. That's hard. That's really difficult. Changing state law, which I was talking to Dr. Murphy about, it's not that hard. It just takes a long time because typically it's let's hear it, let's think about it, let's do a committee, da. Maybe we'll do it next year. Let's talk, talk. But it's easy because we know them and we can have conversations. The easiest way is what you just described. What are the policies that we have that are obstructing you from doing what you need to do? And let's consider those because that's a function of what you just said. Bring those policy changes to us. Let's talk about it, put it out for APA, come back, vote on it, boom, done. We control and we own that. And so, you go online, you look, there's a whole long list of state board policies. So if there's policies that are in place, I encourage any and everybody, to address those. You can send them to me, send them to anybody. Those are things that we can change, right away. And those are interpretations of laws. So, it's not that simple. But anyway, I just appreciate you saying that. And that kind of triggered what I've really preached is like, show me how we can change that and let's talk about it.
Yeah, but I've yesterday in our discussion yesterday, I pointed out, but let's just not change it because that means we can get more teachers. Let's do it because there's a really solid reason that there's, it's either because it doesn't align with IHL or, whatever. Not just do it to fill the spots. I don't want to come across as we're just going to do all this stuff just so we can fill those teaching vacancies, but rather that to get them updated with what's happening in today's world.
Okay, well, we're ready to move into the meat of the agenda, discussion and approval of board items. Number one, approval of 2018-2019 Mississippi statewide accountability results. Dr. Vanderford. And
morning. While Alan is getting our PowerPoint presentation ready, I want to just point out a couple of things. I think Dr. Wright has already mentioned to you that you have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation in a folder at the table. You also received revised backup material that included an additional column for the non-traditional schools that indicated their adjusted score after that was applied. And your backup material has the same cover on each of the two documents, but one is organized by grade and the other alphabetically. I also just want to remind you from the August board meeting that we showed you the increases that we've had in proficiency over the last 4 years on our MAP data, and just emphasize that this is our 4th year of having MAP data in our accountability system. And following the August board meeting, we had a number of questions regarding the change in the cut scores for proficiency on our MAP assessments. And I just want to clarify that since the standard setting 4 years ago, when those cuts for proficiency was established, that there has been no changes to those cuts. So our assessment results that were presented to you in August, those cuts have not changed. I also want to point out in the results that we'll talk today about with the accountability results, there's been no change in the cut scores for the accountability results this year either. Now, over time, we have had some changes in cuts based on changes to the business rules and That's a process that's ongoing with the Accountability Task Force. We discussed in our subcommittee meeting this morning that we already have some items on the agenda for the upcoming Accountability Task Force to discuss, because we committed to you for this to be a continuous improvement cycle. So each year we look at the business rules and the impact that those changes have made. Before we launch into the presentation, I want to give you a brief overview that we provided to the Commission on Tuesday regarding the appeals from the preliminary accountability results. As you know, we have a policy that allows districts during that 2-week window, if they have reason to believe that the results of the system that have been applied to a district or school are incorrect due to a calculation or data error or any other substantive reason, the school district may submit written evidence to be considered by an internal review committee. Our internal review committee met on September the 5th. We had 7 members present, one being an external chair that's outlined in policy. We received 31 appeals or districts, appeals from 31 districts. 18 of those we were able to resolve through data verification without presenting those to the internal review committee, but we did have 13 appeals that were reviewed and considered. And so just in summary, the 13 appeals, 2 districts requested that dual credit students be included in accountability measures. These students were not included because the district had failed to properly enter the data in MSIS within the established deadline. So the committee denied those 2 appeals. 2 districts requested the inclusion of EL students in the EL progress component that had previously met the definition of EL proficiency, so therefore the committee denied that request. 4 districts requested that the prior year science score be assigned at the grade level aggregate rather than the school level aggregate. Those appeals were denied because when we made the decision to give the district the higher of the 2 science proficiency, whether it be this year from the new assessment or last year from the previous assessment, that determination was made that it would be at the school level aggregate, not the grade level. 1 district requested a review of assessment data, and that process occurred a couple of months ago prior to the presentation of the assessment results to you, so that appeal was denied. 1 district requested a change to enrollment data related to a grade assignment that affected the participation rate of the school, and that was denied. 2 districts requested that graduation rates be changed for accountability purposes due to a reconfiguration that had occurred in their district. So we have clear rules that establish how graduation rates are calculated if schools have reconfigured or a district has had schools that reconfigured, so that appeal was denied. And then finally, 1 district requested that December graduates be included in the acceleration component calculation. That appeal was denied, but however, the committee did make a recommendation that that be considered moving forward by the Accountability Task Force for a change, because the rule has been applied consistently, or the business rule has been applied consistently, but the committee strongly felt like that districts should not be penalized if a student graduated in December and was not included there. So if you have any questions regarding the appeals that were received, we'll be happy to take those at this time. All right, moving forward, I know we're running behind, so we'll briefly move through the PowerPoint presentation that you have. And of course, the statewide accountability system takes into effect actually all 6 of our goals, but on slide 4, you'll see that specifically with goal 6, that the goal is that every school and district is rated a C or higher, and we have given you a 2018 and 2019 comparison. So currently, 69.7% of the districts are rated C or higher, and 73.5% of the schools are rated C or higher. And the next slide is just a summary of each of the components with the 2018 comparison to 2019. And we talked a little bit about some of these that have not improved or dropped. I mean, for example, the science proficiency, you see that that's down, but of course we know the rationale for the decrease in proficiency there is that we had a new assessment. Some of the others we've committed in the subcommittee meeting this morning to take a deeper dive and look into those areas and why we may not have improved in the areas such as the college and career readiness. You'll see a slight decrease there. The next slide highlights some key findings for our high performers. So of the 145 districts that we'll reference, 140 are LEAs and 5 charter schools. We have 21.4% of our districts that earn an A. So again, there's a misconception that each year we only allow 10% of our districts to be rated an A. And as you see, this year we have 21. Of the 641 700-point schools, we have 26.4% of those schools that received an A, and that number is 169. Of the 236,000-point schools, 11.4% of those schools, or 27, earned an A. At key findings on the lower end, we see that 19 or 13.1% of the districts earned an F. 9% or 58 of the 641 700-point schools earned an F, and 8.1% or 19 of the 236,000-point schools earned an F. We had 46 districts that increased a letter grade from the previous year. We had 27.8% or 178 of the 700-point schools that increased a letter grade, and 33.9% or 80 of the 236,000-point schools increased the letter grade. Looking at some increases in proficiency and growth, we had 57.9% of the districts increase in overall proficiency and growth points. 50.8% of the 700-point schools increased in overall proficiency and growth points, and then 52.1% of the 1,000-point schools increased. So all of those in all areas, we saw more than 50% of the districts showing. Slide 11 is just an overview of a 4-year comparison of the number of A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's that we've had. And of course, the last column highlighted in gold is the percentages that we provided an overview of earlier. On the note at the bottom, the 2 that are non-applicable are charter schools that are reported both as a district and a school, and they're new, and so they do not have 2 years of data. The next slide you're very familiar with, but we've included it in your packet just as the overall distribution of points throughout each of the components for districts. And the next slide highlights the top 10 districts in the state listed by the total points. You see at number 1 we have Petal, followed by Ocean Springs, Clinton, Oxford, Madison, Enterprise, Biloxi, Union County, Lamar County, and Rankin County for the top 10. Slide 14 is the 10 districts that fell at the bottom according to points earned, and that's LaFleur County, West Tallahatchie, East Tallahatchie, Noxubee County, North Bolivar Consolidated, Emmett County, Holmes Consolidated, Wilkerson County, West Bolivar, and Yazoo City. The next few slides are very similar to the slides that were presented for the district, so just an overall comparison for 4 years. We won't go through those numbers again because we've highlighted some of those on the right side in the gold for this year. And this is our accountability indicators for 700-point schools. And then our top 10 700-point schools by overall total points: Enterprise Elementary, Beach Elementary, Clinton Park, Northside Elementary, Bayou View Elementary, Pineville Elementary, Bramlett Elementary, Mansdale Elementary, Madison Station Elementary, and Seminary Elementary. And then the bottom 10, 700 point or elementary middle schools: Jefferson County Upper Elementary, West Bolivar Middle School, Powell Middle School, Coldwater Elementary, Cardoza Middle School, Oakhurst Intermediate, Como Primary, West Kemper Elementary, L.C. Hatcher Elementary, Oak Forest Elementary, and A.W. Watson Elementary. Slide 20 is the accountability indicators for our 1,000-point schools. And prior to going over this list, I just want to clarify, because there were some questions following the commission meeting. The top 10 and the bottom 10 for the 1,000-point schools that are listed on the screen are by total points that do not include the adjusted points. So in your backup material, you had your traditional high schools separated from your non-traditional high schools. So all have a grade 12, but the traditional being defined as any school that has 9th through 12th grade or 10th through 12th grade, and then the non-traditional is any other configuration with a grade 12, such as K-12, 5-12, 6-12, 7-12, 8-12. And so this is total points ranked unadjusted without those adjustments for the non-traditional high schools. At number 1, you have Ocean Springs High School, followed by Hernando High School, West Harrison High School, Enterprise High School, Center Hill High School, Oak Grove High School, Pass Christian High School, Biloxi High School, Van Cleve High School, and Bay High School. And then the bottom 10, Forest Hill High, Lanier High, Northside, Greenville High School, Holmes County Central High School, Ray Brooks, Wingfield, West Bolivar, McAdams Attendance Center, and Jim Hill High School. So that's a highlight of some of our key findings, and we'll be happy to take any questions if you have any at this point.
Saltman?
I've mentioned this on other occasions. These lower performing school districts, primarily F districts, and I'm talking about districts, not individual schools. Several of them have been failing school districts since I've been on this board. And I think we are derelict in our duty if we don't ask them to come in and present to us a plan that is a workable plan to move the needle and show some progress. The superintendent, the board chair, or some board members, maybe some school administrators, some community people, whatever. But we're losing a generation of children in these schools that are failing. And they've been failing for some time. So somehow we have to get their attention that we just can't keep accepting this. And so I am of the opinion that however you all want to work that in terms of getting them in here, that we need to do that. I mean, I've talked with Dr. Dean, I've talked to Dr. Wright, I've talked to Dr. Oakley. And I just don't think we can keep on, because ultimately we're going to have to make a decision to take these people over or to put them in an ASD or something. So I think we need to give them an opportunity perhaps prior to that, but we've given them plenty of opportunities to show enough growth and enough. These results are exciting, and there's school districts in there. Jackson Public Schools moved the needle this year, and that's exciting. But they did it because they had to, and because they want to, I'm sure. But there are a lot of districts in there that face a lot of challenges who are improving and showing growth. So every school district can do that, and I just think it's time we discuss that with some of these people that are consistently on the failing list.
Other I want to follow up. Any comments from y'all directly to that?
Whatever the board.
Let's operationalize that. I mean, because that's we've talked about it, and I fully agree. You know, there needs to be, you know, some accountability. That's, you know, pretty tired word, but you know, some way to bring them in to say, tell us what you're doing, because the sense is we can't just, you know, wait until it's ASD level, you know, and they're a function of resources, obviously, and the time to get this all done. But you know, I'd like to see, you know, you know, presumably we'll approve these results, some sort of calendar that rolls out over the next several meetings in which we have either whatever the appropriate session is, executive session or open session. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, but I want them to understand, like, to Ms. Altman's point, we've seen this for years now, and we can't just keep doing. It's not that anybody's doing nothing. That's a terrible thing to say. We can't not move it to the next step, which is tell us how you're improving, and we're going to, you know, ensure that you're doing what you say you're going to do, or we will have to then move to the next step and make decisions based on what we hear. Last point I'll make, there's several who could have been ASD this last time around, and we made decisions sort of based on, you know, anecdotal and some what, you know, you guys are seeing. But I would like to have, you know, a face-to-face interaction with them so that when we do, and if we do have to move to that, then we've sort of heard their story and we're like, yeah, they're probably ready. So
we've got a template that we use. Right now, we bring in, for school improvement purposes, we bring in the lowest performers, and we require them to come into the department to interview, basically, and be interviewed by the leadership team and others in the department, and we give them a template that they're to use on analyzing their data, taking a look at their budget, what are their outcomes, what are their strategies, and we can more than happy to put something together and then put them on a calendar. That's not a problem. I guess what we would need to know in terms of numbers, are you looking at just the bottom 10, or how do you want us to go about scheduling them in for you?
I won't know to answer, but that's a cross section today. But if you found, just say 4 of those in the bottom 10 have been there for the last 4 years, they're clearly the priority. Not just, you know, these 10 this year, because
Right. Those that have been consistently on the
right.
Consistently failing, yes.
Dr. Wright, I have a question. On that template that you're talking about, does it show, I'm trying to make sure I say this the right way. You know, sometimes schools do things because that's just how it's been done, and so they just continue that path. Is there a way that it shows what they've tried to do different and how long that's been in place? Does that make sense? Like,
Totally does.
have you been doing this for 2 years and you've not seen anything, or have you just implemented this in a year and we're not? Because sometimes it takes time to see, but some people aren't making any changes and they've been doing something for 4 or 5 years.
Make a really good point, and that we're already looking at the template. We have been in conversation. This is under Dr. Sandra Robertson's leadership. Really make changes to the template to dig a little bit deeper. Because one of the questions we ask is, you've been using consultant X for the past 5 years, and you've seen absolutely no change in your outcomes. Why are you continuing to use consultant X when there's not? And it's been very revealing to us, those that really are in the weeds and know what's kind of going on, because you can tell by the responses to the questions versus those that are just kind of theoretical about it and really don't understand some of the implications for the decisions that they're making. So we're already looking to modify that template, but you bring up a very good point, and that's certainly something that we have talked about changing, because it's not just enough to come in and tell us what you're doing. What are you doing that's different? Because doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity, right? So, so we can certainly put something like that together.
Well, and it may be some of these districts don't really have anyone who can get into the weeds on the data, and the department may have to help them and say, have you noticed this is going on? So, I mean, I can understand that it may be difficult for some of the smaller districts particularly.
Probably, if we're looking at, let's say, even if it's 5 or more, you may be looking at like a half day, like in advance of one of your board meetings, so that we can have like a work session, if you will. Because usually our board meetings are pretty packed, so either before or after that to have that get accomplished. So.
All of those things, I think, contributes to this, and we need to continue to tell the story, and our marketing people do a good job of that, and I would just encourage us to push this out to the world and let the world know and see what Mississippi is doing, because it's good stuff.
I said watching it last year when we were, our tours of excellence are going to start, so you'll get that schedule. So we had 19 last year, and I watched and said, "What are you going to do next year when you have more?" I said, "Start earlier."
That's a nice
it's
problem
a good
to
thing.
have, isn't it?
Big time.
Right.
It's a good problem to have. So starting in October, we're going to be October, November, December. 31 districts are going to have celebrations, and so you'll know the dates and hopefully be able to come and enjoy, because it's always a big. It's just a big celebration, and I know, and Gulfport's on that list this time, Dr. Kelly. So
yeah.
I got to tell you, that superintendent of yours was pleasantly surprised when he saw that list. But
well, I might add, every district in Harrison County is an A school district this time, and just a lot to celebrate.
And it's really.
But I'm not only proud of Harrison County, but all over the state we see the same trend. So it's really good stuff.
Exciting. And I tell you what, my hats are off to these superintendents and principals and teachers who have just done exactly what they need to do and focused on children. And I can't say enough about teachers and administrators and parent support. I mean, our state, and I tell the teachers everywhere I go, there is a new story in Mississippi, and you need to be telling that story. The old story about us being on the bottom is no longer true, and we're not obviously where we want to be. We're everything we're doing is heading in the right direction. So very, very proud of what's going on.
I'll just kind of echo those two sentiments, and having the privilege to travel on behalf of the state to represent some of the key things that are going on, well in education. Just in my trip to Denver, people were, talking about Mississippi in a positive way. And, they know where we've come from, and they see the path that we're on, and getting that recognition and being invited to attend as leaders. That's meaningful. And the thing that really just gets me is that internally inside the state, that same attitude, it's kind of like, great, we have issues. Nobody's saying that all is well, but things are getting better. And it was like, take one day out of the self-flagellation and, grinding of the just gnashing teeth to say, good job, guys. I mean, you've done it. That's the message I would love to see, out there thematically, not just from the media, but from people who are paying attention. We owe it to our teachers, our administrators, the parents who spend, up late at night helping with homework, which happens, I mean, there is a whole group of folks who are doing well and doing the right thing. The other message I would say, and Dr. Vanderford said this throughout her presentation, is there's been no changes in the cut scores. There has never been a set quota of predetermined number of the number, and it's in the data if you look at it over now 4 years of map to map to map to map. So this idea that we're moving the finish line and we're manipulating the data is uninformed. I mean, that's the nicest word I could use to describe it. We are improving. The rules of the game are not changing. There's acceleration in English language, but that's not changing the cut scores. That's not changing or a preset, ludicrous that we would set a number that we'd have in mind no matter what. None of that is true. And so just look at the data and just recognize, this is good comparative statistics. Now we have 4 years to compare, and we should just stop for a second and say, good job. Okay.
I think the most outstanding result, the one that I take greatest pride in, is our improvement of how many schools and districts are C or better. We've set that goal, had quite a battle over whether we were going to set that goal or not, and So I'm just really, really happy to see increase in number of schools that are C or better. And it's going to get better. I know it. I mean, you guys have set a big goal.
Any other thoughts or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take this as an action item to approve the 2018-2019 Mississippi statewide accountability results. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think we can get through this next one, and then we'll take lunch. So we'll go ahead and move into the second one, which requires action. Begin the APA process to revise the code, state board policy, etc. This is a U.S. history subject.
And actually, I'll try to be brief on this item. In your backup material, you were provided a lot of survey results from the work of the testing task force, and I know that took course over about an 18-month time frame, and the board continually received updates of the work of the testing task force. So we're not going to take time to go over that again, but I just wanted to let you know that on August the 19th, when the commission met to consider the recommendation of the testing task force to begin the APA process for the elimination of the U.S. history assessment, Dr. Martin, who served as one of the co-chairs of the testing task force, was present at the meeting and provided an overview, and I think we provided that PowerPoint presentation to you as part of your backup material of the work and those recommendations. But the commission on that day voted unanimously to submit to the State Board of Education a request to eliminate the U.S. history assessment beginning in the 2021 school year. So despite the action that the board takes today, I just want to emphasize that there is a new U.S. history assessment. It will be administered in the fall and the spring, this current school year. So the window opens, I think, November the 18th. So with the new U.S. history assessment. And so this APA process will not impact anything that we do regarding our U.S. history assessment or the accountability system for the 1920 school year. This would not be effective if passed until the next school year. So the state board's authority, of course, is to accept the recommendation of the commission to begin the APA process for public comments, or you also have the ability to reject that recommendation. There's been a number of questions at the commission meeting, as well as constant emails that Dr. Oakley and Dr. Malone and I have received about other policy considerations that would be impacted by this, but we just want to be clear that any action taken by the board today is only to begin the APA process. If approved, we have a tentative timeline for the APA process to run through October, and then at the November meeting, we would bring back the comments for you for your consideration for final approval. But again, if the board takes action as final approval, there's still so many policy considerations, that would require stakeholder engagement and additional board approval, additional APA processes. I mean, probably the top 3 questions that we are getting is, how will this impact our ESSA plan? Well, we know we'll have to amend our ESSA plan if the final action is taken. What impact will this have on graduation requirements if we discontinue the administration of the test? Well, those are policy considerations that will have to be made. And probably at the top of the list is the questions about how this will impact the accountability system. What will we do with the 50 points that are currently assigned to U.S. history? Will we have to reset the cut scores if we apply those points to another category, or if we eliminate those points completely? And so I know the field is very frustrated, for lack of a better terms, with us because we cannot answer those questions right now, but we just continue to tell the field that the first point of business is the APA process to determine what the public's feedback is before the board even considers it as a final action. And then, of course, the final action would determine our next steps.
Questions, thoughts, comments?
Got a comment? Go ahead. You were first.
Okay, so this is just a request to begin the process, not to already eliminate the test.
That's correct. That's correct.
So it'll be at the end of the meeting whenever board members sort of thoughts on whether or not we should eliminate the test or to establish our opinions not to speak for the exam.
I'll take a point just for an opportunity to explain how the APA process works, and then of course the board discussion is the board's discussion. But if the board approves to begin the APA process today, then the stakeholders will be notified that it's open for public comment. And they will submit written comments to the department, and we compile those comments for the state board in categories of these are the individuals or entities that are in favor of the elimination, and then these are those that are opposed, and the rationale as to why. And prior to the November board meeting, the board members will receive that information. And the board can tell you there's been APA comments or situations where it's been 300 pages of materials that's provided to the board. And so you'll be provided every comment that is submitted, and we'll do our very best to summarize and tell you, how the public feels about it. And then the board always takes that into consideration with their final.
But to your point, you certainly have, you're well within your responsibilities as a student representative to state anytime you want. Don't feel that you've got to wait till APA is done. That's really the reason that both of you are here. You are there talking to students each and every day. So, and your opinion is valued. So if you've got an opinion about this, anytime on any subject, feel free to speak up.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't just teachers and administration across the state that is being asked to comment. I feel that it's not only my duty, but also other students' responsibility to be able to have this opportunity to speak on this and be able to comment. So if we do decide to begin the APA process, I feel that there should be a portal for students to make their decisions known. But I do have a little thing I want to say, and I don't know if this would be the right time to say it or not, but I have been speaking in part to U.S. history teachers across my county, across my district about this, and they've made their thoughts known to me, and we believe that until there's an alternative method to the state testing issue for the U.S. history exam, that the continuation of the U.S. state history exam is a basic right to students across the state, as well as teachers who will be negatively impacted by the lack of the exam. It was said that 10,106 teachers, about 1/3 of all public school teachers in the state, replied to a request to teachers and administration asking for their opinions concerning state testing. Other respondents, 3,904 teach a subject that is required by a state to be tested. While all the teachers are involved in the process of state testing with getting it ready and administering it, only 1/3 of 1/3, 1/9, are actually able to speak on the matter of how state testing truly impacts their classrooms, their curriculum, and their students. In fact, the U.S. history teachers of DeSoto Central High School and my school made it known to myself how they have reacted to the possibility that the state exam potentially being discarded across the state will impact all of us. My personal teacher, Ms. Pleasance, a past AP World History teacher and both a regular and AP US History teacher, gave me her thoughts. She said that the US History test holds us history teachers accountable, of course, but also is the only factor that holds all the lower history classes accountable. Without the test, schools across the state place coaches who rarely teach in history courses, and historical thought and political thinking skills go out the window. If this test is taken away, history will be devalued in Mississippi and will allow for students to never be taught in a way to become informed and participating citizens. It seems that by taking this test away, that the state and federal governments do not want their voters to be informed about the repercussions of their decisions. As a teacher of the U.S. history exam for 14 years, having had taught in 4 separate high schools, this test is the only thing that holds history teachers accountable and teaches students how to become active and informed citizens. Pleasance is too humble to add that she's a teacher of the year as well as a star teacher to account for her credibility. In the data that we've been shown, not one positive comment about the history exam was seen because we failed to ask teachers and administration the benefits of the curriculum taught for the state exam. but I became aware today that if the AP process begin, that both positives and negatives can be asked for. So, but as a junior in high school myself, I've all to gain from the lack of a U.S. history exam. One that state exam I have to push myself through because yes, I agree, state testing is not on par with how we envision student education to be numerically assessed. However, taking away one state exam could only create a domino effect where soon enough we find that the biology state exam is not on par with our expectations, the English 3 exam is not on par with our expectations, the 8th, 6th, 5th grade state exams are not on par. This lack of statewide benchmark is a dangerous path to follow and can only bring detriment to Mississippi as a whole. So I ask you, board members, teachers, and administration across the state to ask your students, yes, it would be a long journey of learning to push yourself to reach our statewide goal to pass the state exam. However, are you honestly content with the knowledge that you're exposed to make you a better citizen and a more informed student? As a student, I can only humbly be proud to say that yes, I'm a better person because of it. Like Dr. Dean said earlier, in its past 15 years, progress has been difficult, but it has been progress. We should not quit on a fundamental course that has directly impacted our livelihoods as American citizens.
Great.
Right.
That's what you're here for, man. Thank you.
All right.
I would just like for you to urge the teachers, the history teachers, U.S. history teachers that you spoke with, urge them, go back to them and urge them to give a written comment. You know, don't let them off the hook.
I actually looked at the data for teacher comments, and DeSoto Central High School had the most comments concerning the evaluation of the U.S. history exam and its elimination. And I had asked them about if they had contributed, and they said, yes, of course they had. But they wanted to directly mention it to myself, seeing as how I have a voice on the board and how it would directly be said to each one of you.
Kind of further what Dr. Vanderford was saying, once the APA, and the question I have, are we going to do extended 30 days, 60 days, 45 days? What's the term?
Well, so, you know, it's required that it's out for a minimum of 25 days, but since the board meeting in October is October the 10th, we don't have the appropriate timeline. So I think the decision, we had said that we would keep it open until October the 22nd, I think, and then that we anticipate a large number of comments. So to compile those prior to the board mail out for the November meeting, which is early as well, we feel like.
Is John Kramer in here? Yeah. I think what we'll try and do, and Jean, when we put together a press release, let's see if we can get like an email site or something that people can email by students to get the information out to students. Put that in the email that we're accepting feedback from everybody across the state, not just, to your point, teachers and administrators, but students who would be impacted by this as well.
One of the most telling slides in the information you gave me was this, gave us was this summary of required assessments and where they're required. Well, there's a point here, but according to this, the things that this board has control over are the pre-K assessments and this history test. So in their comments, I think we need to make it clear that don't complain about the assessments that the federal law requires or the state law requires. We have no control over that. The points need to be directly to the U.S. history, because I mean, I get people saying, well, we just test too much. Y'all just require too much. Well, no, we don't. Other people are requiring it. It's executing the law. So anyway.
Great point. So just a last point, then we'll move to the vote unless there's further questions, is there are several potential outcomes after you hear the APA comments. The outcome is do nothing. You don't have to do anything. Thank you for your information. We heard APA. We're not required. We could just say thanks but no thanks. 2 is to adopt it as it's been presented. Or 3, there's other things that we can do, and I won't get into the weeds on this, but it is important. So the U.S. history test is obviously part of the accountability model at 47.5 points. And it's also a subject area test that's required for graduation. Is the complaint that it's a high stakes test for graduation? If that's the case, then we can certainly change the policy, as an example, to say, it's not required for high school graduation. I know that there's alternatives. but this considered I'm trying to hook into keeping U.S. history is not going away. You still have to take it to graduate.
Yes, sir, it would be a
And
required
that's the
part
other
of the
thing that's
unit
out there. Like,
credit.
you're getting
Right.
rid of history. No, we're not. We're getting rid of this test. So it could stay in the accountability model and take it out of the subject area testing requirement. And I know that there's alternatives that say you got to pass 3 out of the 4 in order to. I mean, there's alternatives we have as a board, and it's not just this or that. So I would encourage y'all to be, creative in your thinking as you read these comments, and if there's other alternatives that satisfy the requirement that Mr. Jamil laid out, and what teachers and administrators are saying, as well as sort of doing our jobs, and I just encourage us to be thoughtful about that. So, all right, any additional comments? Alrighty. Do I have a motion to begin the Administrative Procedures Act to revise Mississippi Administrative Code 7336.4, State Board Policy Chapter 36, Rule 36.4, assessments required for graduation? Second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We will now break for lunch for 1 hour. So we'll be back at 1 o'clock. Order, it is currently 1:03 p.m., so we're 3 minutes behind schedule as we speak. If we can go ahead and bring ourselves back to order, it's 1 o'clock, and we are now on number 3, update on the Mississippi Succeeds report.
Thank you. So, Dr. Dean, Dr. Wright, members of the board, I'm pleased again to be here again to talk to you guys again about the Mississippi Succeeds report card. As you know, we want to get on this quarterly pacing with you all, and it is my pleasure to quickly turn this over to our brand new Harvard Data Fellow, Ms. Deborah Donovan. Deborah?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to come present on the most recent enhancements we've made to the Mississippi Succeeds report card. As you know, the report card supports the vision and mission of the state, especially goal number 5, with every community effectively using a world-class data system to improve student outcomes. As a reminder, this is our roadmap of enhancements that we have planned, that we've done thus far, and that we have planned for the future. This month, we're referring to this release as the 2.0 release, which includes this school year's, the 18-19 accountability results. And since it's mostly the most major release we've made since the initial launch. And we have several other phases that are in the planning process, and we'll talk about those a little bit later on. So for this release, of course, we have multiple years of data because now we're in our second year of the report card site, so we have multiple years of data. We also added a language translation feature to the site, as well as a feedback feature for users to submit their ideas and comments about the site. We've also added some tooltips, which are little pop-up boxes with more parent-friendly language to explain what some of the components on the site are. And we've also updated the user guide and the video tutorial with all of those new features.
Dr. Dean, you'll recall that when we had a chance to talk about prior to the previous quarter release, that these are the things that you'd given us some feedback on, and again, we continue to look for feedback from you all about how we can make this product more useful for the state.
So before we get to the live demo, I just want to talk a little bit about our plans for the future. In December, we're planning to launch first internally and then later with a public-facing option, a dashboard that highlights the state's progress on the strategic plan. You're all familiar with Dr. Wright's annual reports around the strategic plan. We want to turn that into more of an interactive and website that people can go through and see the progress that we're being made. And we'll also be including a drill down version of that, which for the items that we are able to, we can see district level progress on some of those items. So the hope in that is that we'll be able to launch an engaging, interactive site that tells our story and promotes the good work that's taking place in the state. Our next release is the beginning of a collaborative project that we're very excited about. Our research and development team, who's led by Dr. Yan Lee here, has been researching the best measures of college and career readiness and post-secondary success. This has been a joint effort with the InSpark staff at Mississippi State, who is the clearinghouse for our SLDS, our state longitudinal data system. We plan to include metrics concerning student outcomes, such as post-secondary enrollment, retention, remediation needs, and others that we have available. As a continuation of that work, in June, we'll be gathering feedback from stakeholders, conducting more research into further measures of college and career readiness. There has been discussion, particularly in the accountability task force and other areas of the agency, about measures other than the ACT that can be included in college and career readiness, if not in the actual accountability component, at least reported out as a way to look at that data. So one of the things that we're already looking into is how we can get the ACT work keys data as part of that measurement. Once we receive feedback from all of these different avenues, we'll have to determine which data is available, which data we can get our hands on, and which things may not be available to us yet, or that we can, that's not feasible at that time to obtain. At the same time, we'll be working to determine which of those data elements have an effect on the outcome. So that's part of the research then weaving back into that process. Another component of this work is defining a measure of on track to graduate. For instance, can we look at how many Carnegie units students have learned, or the type level of courses that students are enrolled in their 9th grade year or their 10th grade year, and come up with a measurement of what it means to be on track to graduate. So here's a look at some of the preliminary work that's been done through our Office of Research and Development. This is the result of an extensive literature review and an analysis of what all 50 states are currently including in their college and career readiness measures. So as we said earlier, some of these data are already available to us that we could start gathering. Some of it we know is out there and we can procure that data. Just need to put in appropriate agreements or contracts to get that data. And some of it may not be possible to obtain, but these are from the literature review and from what other states are looking at, what we feel are appropriate measures of college and career readiness for reporting. So we'll just want to be looking at which pieces of the puzzle we can put together to build a picture and analysis of this indicator. So any questions about that before we move on to the demo?
One quick just thing to add in is that as we think about the MSIS 2.0 that we talked about in June, identifying, again, future needs, future desires, future enhancements, benefits, data, getting data that we need, all that needs to be written into our design of the new MSIS so that this becomes part of our automated process, not this kind of extra after the fact collection process. So as much as you all can sort of project forward and needs or questions that you have, we want to get those from you not only to further enhance the Mississippi 60s report card, but work all the way backwards underneath that to get the MSIS system that will be capable of supporting those outputs, making it more on demand, more quickly available, more readily available with less effort and investment on this agency, but rather have it all baked in on the front end. Your input is invaluable to us.
Go ahead and switch over to the site. So it is part of the scrolling better on the home page, but we can also get to the report card from this link. So as you'll see up in the top right hand corner, if you're familiar with the old site that used to say 2017, 2018, because that was the only year that we've had, we've moved that to another part of the report card, and now in that corner you can select a language and translate the site for those parents and community members that would need that. We've also added at the bottom of each page a feedback bar that allows people to give direct input into the report card and features that they may want to see or any issues that you may encounter with the site. So if we go back up, I think I'll start with the data maps, or the heat maps as some of us refer to them. Because you know this is my favorite part. So I started us back in the 15-16 school year, and we're looking at grades here. So let's just, now we have 4 years of data to compare. Greener. The coast seems to be a very big area of improvement, and it's someone who hails from the public school system on the coast. I'm from Moss Point School District. I'm very happy to see the progress that's being made in that area. Let's just take a look at English proficiency as well. We've come a long way.
Side by side on the site?
Not on the site, but we're working on the ability to capture them so you could put them in presentations and use them for different purposes.
Nice if we could figure out a way to do that, because then people can actually see it side by side to see the progression, if you can do that.
Add that to the list.
Write that down, John.
We'll add that to the list.
Yeah.
One thing, by the way, this is going smoothly technically because Dr. Dean gave us a long enough lunch break to make sure that we got all the testing done. So thank you for that. That went smoothly.
You should have seen me this morning. So when we view the data, of course, this is our statewide data. You'll see now we have the ability to select either year of data that we've procured on the site. Once we get another year of data, we're really going to start looking at how we can display trend data or movement between the years once we get enough data available on that. So not much else has changed with the site. It's a pretty big effort to get all the new data loaded into the site each year, but we keep making these small enhancements, and these are the tooltips that we're talking about. So now I can click right here and get an explanation of those. And we want to continue to work on this language and this information for the tooltips and the parent-friendly language as much as we can simplify that as possible. I know sometimes, you know, we're in the weeds, so it's kind of hard to take a step back and think about how a parent or a community member understands this information. So that's a continual process for us. Oops.
About sharing the trend data, I can't remember which site I was on, but I was looking at data and it was saying, do you want to see this in a bar graph, a circle graph, you know, whatever. And you could actually choose the method by which you saw the data rather than just putting it in a table or something. So that just is a thinking around that too.
Yeah, we haven't gotten quite yet to how we're going to start to display but we'll definitely add to the list the idea of showing it in multiple representations.
Yeah, exactly.
What about analytics in terms of knowing unique views and how many people have assessed the site? Access the site.
Yeah, so we do that on a regular basis. I know we have some preliminary numbers from what's been going on this week. Having the press and the media talking about the report card early in the week has started to see some uptick in this, but the data just went live today, which is when we had originally scheduled to release it. So we do have the baseline for where we were from last year to this year, and then where we were in the days leading up to today. So we'll be watching and monitoring that.
Yeah, and obviously we're coordinating with the communications folks to let them know, let the public know this is getting rolled out. I just love it. It's awesome. I mean, but if nobody knows about it, I mean, people, you know, we do our part, but I would just encourage all the board members to, you know, use whatever social media or otherwise networks you have to get the word out, because it's super effective and answers a lot of questions.
We definitely see big upticks in the usage, of course, around each annual release. But I think the last time we came and presented to you in June, we had somewhere in the range of 50,000 views of the page. And when we checked it today, I think we were in 70,000.
Oh,
so there is a
cumulative over time. That's not a daily number.
Yeah.
Right.
But
people are coming, you know, and then we have these big surges around data release times. So.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Great work, really. Okay. Dr. Gavin, approval of MDE contracts is next on our list.
Good afternoon. We have 5 contracts coming before you for approval today. Action item 4A is our monthly contracts with former state employees. We have one there doing some technical assistance work in CTE. Action item B is a contract with Glenn Stribling to provide optometry services for the Mississippi School for the Blind. Action item 4C is actually a renewal of a contract with TAC. And action items 4D and 4E are modifications to 2 OTSS contracts.
Questions on the contracts? I just wanted to help me understand D&E, because those are obviously sizable and the increases are pretty large. So tell me.
Mr. Kramer, that's a little bit too techy for me to explain it to you.
Figured that might be the case.
D is GuideSoft Inc. or Knowledgeable
Right.
Services.
So Knowledge Services is the organization that has the contract through ITS to bring in technical talent. So these are 2 contracts to help us with some of our application development work. in anticipation of the MSIS 2.0 work that we've already kind of slowly started to ratchet up, but as well as a growing list of issues that have come up through demand from other parts of the organization, from the district. So we've been slowly increasing our technical skill downstairs, and these are 2 new contracts. I think we've got another 6 downstairs now, and I think this is a trend that will continue in bringing in talent that we don't have to move the work forward, leveraging some federal dollars that we have available to us.
An OTS contract or is it MDE contract?
It's through ITS.
Are we paying their people to come and do work for us?
No, so ITS has a contract with Knowledge Services, which is a for-profit company that then arranges through other companies that have staff augmentation contractors available. And so through ITS, we can reach Knowledge Services and then find and then interview and select and hire and arrange contracts with these individuals. But I believe the contract is from the contractor's employer to Knowledge Services, and then that's arranged through an existing standing contract through ITS.
And the modification is for $135,000.
It's about a 10% increase for additional consulting services time.
Yeah.
And then the next one's a little more,
Oracle.
Oh, so the
bigger increase, $400,000 contract with the mod of 340.
Yeah. So the Oracle contract, our environment is an Oracle environment. MSIS is an Oracle product. So we've been going through true ups and other processes with Oracle or through the vendor that is selling us the Oracle services to make sure that we are properly licensed. And this is a slowly migration of both to bring ourselves into alignment with Oracle and the licenses that we do use. And secondly is to begin to, we've talked about this a little bit before, is work on this transition over to the cloud and trying to make sure we can properly leverage. So some of this is a little bit exploration, and part of it's catching up, and part of it's just sort of just the general maintenance and support for the work that we do with MSIS.
Do the dollars come from part of the legislative appropriation that was passed this year, the 500,000 or whatever? Is that a different build out for MSIS?
No.
A lot of that is exploration for the new MSIS 2.0 work that is about to kick off, and I can give you an update on where we are on that. But
well, I actually would like if you just 1 minute or less, because back to our legislative budget discussion, it was we talked about it in the context of the teacher salary increase and how it was at least my number one request for.
So 1 minute or less is perfect for me. So let me go ahead and try and do that. We currently have, once we got through the new fiscal year and began to do the development after our June presentation about where we wanted to go, we developed an RFP. We worked very closely with Dr. Gavin's office, and they were instrumental in helping us put that together. That is currently over at review for PPRB. They will be a meeting on October 2nd to review and approve that RFP, which we'll be releasing in the next couple days. So it's taken us from the time that we met in June till the first part of October, and that process will take us to a March kickoff with a new vendor to come in and help us with a lot of the first stages of the MSIS 2.0 work. So that will begin in earnest in the spring.
ITS have any say-so authority, sit on the board over that?
Over that particular question? No. Well, at this phase, no. In the long run, yes. So Craig Ogeron, the state IT director, or state CIO rather, and I have been in communication going back almost a year about this very question and how to really understand the relationship between PPRB and ITS and the work that we're going to be doing. So we began sharing early versions of what we were thinking about MSIS 2.0 with Craig Ogeron, Dr. Ogeron, and have parsed out phase 1 and 2. You may recall from June where we talked about documentation, discovery, design, process improvement, and maturity. And then we get into the build in phase 2, which will begin in 2 years past that point. So in discussions with Dr. Ogeron, and then he is coordinating also with PPRB, because if we send a contract to PPRB or an RFP to PPRB, they would immediately question ITS's perspective on it. So we had all that buttoned up, and Craig and I were on the same page, and now PPRB and ITS are on the same page, so that when we submit this, that it's being reviewed. But this will eventually come up, and we'll begin that process with him again on phase 2 pretty quickly after phase 1 begins.
You're doing all the right things. I just make the point, and you know it, this to coordinate with ITS, there's no point in developing a down-the-road political roadblock that's unnecessary.
Oh.
I'll tell you, just me personally, the people who I talk to over the legislature, I'm not saying this is the board's number one priority, but I'm saying if you want to fix the data problem, the MSIS 3.5 million is the right first step, and it's a 3-year, 3.5 million. I'm saying it over and over and over again to everybody who will listen. So I can just tell you, there's going to be some political support for this, but we don't want to, shoot ourselves in the foot without going through the proper.
I would say, it's in less than 30 seconds, that Craig Ogeron and I are working very closely on this, and we're coordinating with this as intensively and excessively as required. And so far, he has been nothing but absolutely supportive of this, and we are very much on the same page. So I see no potential issues or roadblocks at this stage with where we are with the ITS.
Under the Office of Chief, yes, sir.
Certainly. And if, for this particular one, if you're asking about the tech, it's 5,000 more than it was last year. We can do that.
Comments or thoughts, questions? Okay, under the Office of Chief Operations Officer, do I have a motion to approve items 4A, B, C, D?
Second.
Motion with the second. Any additional discussion? Hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Move to the consent agenda. Let's try and pull it there. I would just there's several things on here, and I know we're not in order. We're not to talk about or to bring up without an additional vote. I just would point out one that I've spent a lot of time on personally, and have met with the Mississippi Economic Council guys on F, the approval of methodology to reimburse costs incurred by school districts for AP dual credit and the ACT work keys. Really an important, I think, not paradigm shifting, but a seminal opportunity for us to partner with the business community, with school districts around career and technical ed. I think if you look at folks who are running for political office right now, they're looking at this and saying, that was a nice start. Now we're going to do, I've seen numbers of 2.5 million next year. And so this is encouraging, that it's a step into this direction. And thank you to Pete and Dr. Oakley for working through, the processes and trying to ensure that it's doing what it is that both the legislature and the Mississippi Economic Council, led by the business community, really, work to get right. So I think this is my personal opinion. I've read it, I've worked through it, I've had phone calls. Seems like it's the right methodology, and if it's not right, we'll fix it next year. But I like how it looks, and so again, I know we can't bring anything out. So with that, I'll ask under consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Motion to approve those.
Motion.
Motion with the second. Although any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. So we'll move into consideration of executive session.
Board members, I move that the board consider making a closed determination of the need to go into executive session.
There's a motion with the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Let's clear the boardroom, please.
I can give you the dates of the conference.
It was scheduled for Friday
Friday.
at 4. If it's any
Friday
other
in the
time.
afternoon.
I don't,
But, so what we were thinking, Pete's going, so Pete could be the moderator to ask the questions of the panel. The problem is, the governor was supposed to be given the intro. So do we want to ask Gray Tollison to give the overall intro?
Robert and I had talked about.
Perfect. So if you want, I can reach out, Pete can reach out to Gray to say, would you be willing to provide, we'll write a speech.
I think it was Robert's intent to moderate. the panel.
Perfect, that's fine.
Probably let Pete do it.
Oh, it's up to you. It's up to whatever he wants to do.
Still Friday at 4, probably. Okay. During executive session, we voted for the approval of the appointment of Ed Bureau Director 2 to Service Director Professional Development, Dr. Mary Johnson. We also approved the appointment of an Ed Bureau Director 2 to Service Director of Intervention Services, Lori Weathersby. To approve the appointment of an Ed Bureau Director 2 to Service Director of Literacy, Kristen Wells. And finally, approve the appointment of an Ed Bureau Director 2 to Service Director of Performance Management, Chad Daniels. All right. So we're moved to our final section here of our agenda under 11. State Board report of any meetings attended other than those that we described earlier. Anybody have other additional reports? We need approval of attendance at meetings. Both myself and Dr. Kelly are requesting the approval to attend the NASB 2019 annual meeting held October 15th through the 19th, 2019 in Omaha. As you heard us talking about as we're coming out of executive session, we've been asked to participate in a plenary session panel to once again tell the Mississippi story. I mean, that's the title of the panel. This is again, starting to pick up on a theme here. We've been asked. Gray Tollison will be with us. I think that's right, the three of us. And sorry, just my. So I think that's the three of us. And so anyway, looking forward to that. So I need a. So this, again, the National Association of School Boards of Education. This is the national group of us that, recognizing the work that's going on here in Mississippi, again, to further from that earlier point. So I will need a motion for approval for that travel.
Second.
Favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Other business, the October board meeting will be held October 10th. 2019 here in Central High School building starting at 10 a.m.
I want to stay longer.
This is like forever for us. We used to get out of here at 11:15. All right. Any further discussion? Here none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.